From Las Vegas, it's Football Forecast Weekly. Starring Dennis Tobler. With the Professor Gordon Jones. And special reports with Dave Hammer. And now, the host of Football Forecast Weekly, Bob Elder.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Football Forecast Weekly. This is our 5th year of bringing you the insights and the information that you need to help better handicap and predict college and professional games. I'm your host, Bob Elder, and if 4 years are any indication, this 5th year ought to be great because we've got a trio of handicappers from Las Vegas that are primed and ready to go. All 3 of our handicappers are from the area, and I think that makes a big difference because they're going to be here individually each week to give you the insights that you need. They don't come on 4 guys at a time and argue back and forth and leave you even more confused. In just a couple of minutes, you're going to meet one of the first of them, and that is a gentleman who last year made a big impact here on Football Forecast Weekly. You know, every year, one individual does his homework, puts in a lot of hard work, and it pays off, and that's Dave Hammer. Dave will be coming up in just a little while. Then in just a few more minutes, you're going to meet the Professor Gordon Jones. This year, he will be exclusively right here on Football Forecast Weekly. And of course, that leaves the best till last, and a gentleman who I've been with for 5 long years, and they have been fun seasons because in 5 years he has a winning percentage of over 63%, and that is documented, and that's my buddy Dennis Tobler. Dennis, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much, Bob. I'm very excited about this year, and I was just thinking when I stepped on the set today, it seems like yesterday that we were sitting in Los Angeles on the set with the very first Football Forecast show, and that was in 1988. So how time flies. We've made a lot of improvements in the set, the show. We've moved it to Las Vegas. Our talent is much better than it ever was before. I'm looking forward to a very tremendous year.
And I think 30 million people out there will attest to that because that's how many households we're in this year. Right now, let's get started. And before Dennis gives his pick, we have got to go out and check in with Dave Hammer, who's got the current lines for us. Dave?
Thanks, Bob. Traditionally, there are no big line movements the first week or 2 of the season for 2 main reasons. One being the bettors are very, very cautious, and 2, the bookies' numbers are very, very tight. And why? There's no past performance. You can't use last year's college game, and you can't use preseason for the NFL. Now, here's the significant line movements. But first, let me remind you, New England Miami's been postponed due to Hurricane Andrew, and that'll be played October 18th. Now, here's the college movements. First of all, Penn State goes to Cincinnati, and Penn State goes down from 28 to 26.5. Why? Penn State offense is an unknown entity. Second game, Mississippi State goes to Texas, and Texas goes from 3 to 2, backwards down. Why? Mississippi State's got Jackie Sherrill. Very simple. Now, here's the pro movements. First of all, Minnesota goes to Green Bay and goes from 2 up to 3. Why? Great preseason. Now, the second game being the 49ers go to the Giants, and they go up from 3 to 4. 2 reasons here. California money, very heavy this time of year, and the 49ers are a very good road team. Now, here's the remainder of the NFL lines.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. Dennis, let's get to the meat and potatoes. People out there want some games. Let's go with the #1 team in the nation to kick off the show. The Miami Hurricanes go to Iowa. Miami, a 14.5-point pick. How do you see this one?
Well, it's a good news, bad news situation for Iowa here, Bob. The good news is they had a game last week that should help them prepare for this week. The bad news is they have to play the #1 team in the country this year. Why is Miami #1? Well, let me tell you. In 1991, everybody expected the Hurricanes to have a down season. Why? Because they graduated Russell Maryland and several other players that made it big in the NFL. In 1991, what'd they do? Come out and go 12-0 on the season, shut out Nebraska in the Orange Bowl, and average 300 yards a game passing. Bob, I think that some of these teams are going to be for a long season when they come up against the Hurricanes this year.
And, of course, Miami starting on the road in Iowa. No advantage to Iowa, though, huh?
Well, I don't think there's an advantage to Iowa. Their game against NC State kind of exposed them and their weaknesses, because I figure NC State will finish in the bottom half of the Atlantic Coast Conference this year. So the way I see it, this could be a real blowout early.
All right, we're going to mark that one down. When we come back, Dennis Tobler will have one more college and 2 pro picks. You better not go away. Stay there.
Hello, football fans. I'm Las Vegas handicapper Dennis Tobler. Each week for the past 5 years, you've seen me on Football Forecast Weekly, and I have hit an incredible 63% of my television selections during that time. You also know that I pound the strip each week for the information it takes to become a winner here in Las Vegas. This year I have something special for all you viewers out there. I'm going to be releasing my private play selections each and every day of the week on my 900 private play line. That number is 1-900-903-0933, and for only $20 a call, you can call each and every day of the week and get new point spread selections direct from Las Vegas. My information is second to none. I've been beating the spread for 20 years here in Las Vegas, and you can see how. Just call 1-900-903-0933 and get on the winning bandwagon. Call now.
Hello, football fans. I'm Dave Hammer from Dave Hammer's Hotline in Las Vegas. I'm out on this strip each day of the week looking and searching for the information it takes to make me a winner by simply calling 900-454-6600. For only $20, I can make you a winner too. I'll give you my major play every day of the week. Call 900-454-6600. And remember, you can't get this information from anywhere else except Dave Hammer's Hotline.
I'm Gordon Jones, and one of my favorite plays is what we call the late move. I'm here in Vegas checking the action up and down the strip, and back in New York, my associate Vinny Caselli, well, he's checking the late moves up and down the entire East Coast. Last year, he went 27-3 on his late moves, an incredible thing. We're putting our heads together this year and doing the same. You can get it, ask for Vinny, and call our 800 number. That's 1-800-423-2350.
Well, welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone. Dennis, time now to pick another college game before we head into those pros. This week, we're going to look at a game I know that you're pretty familiar with, at least as one of the teams, and that is Nebraska. They are going to host Utah at Lincoln. Nebraska, 27.5-point pick. How do you analyze this one?
Well, this is another one of these early season blowouts for the powerful home team here. Nebraska only has to lay 4 touchdowns to cover the number, and they certainly will get the job done here. The Utes were 7-5 last year, but they gave up 23 points a game in the weak WAC conference. Now, Nebraska has a little bit of incentive here that people don't know about. For the first time in many years, the preseason poll had Nebraska out of the top 10. Now, the Cornhuskers and the Cornhusker people, their fans, Bob, are adamant about this, and they want a big win to get back in the top 10. And I think they'll play with some incentive this weekend. Another key factor in this matchup is the fact that Utah has a very, very poor special teams all the way around. Punts, kickoffs, returns, everything. I look for Nebraska to come in, get 4 touchdowns in the first half, cover the number by halftime, maybe run 2 kickoffs back and block a punt for a score. I really believe that Nebraska will roll in this matchup. 27.5 is only half as many as they should be favored by.
Well, a lot of those teams in the Big 8 always roll over opponents, Oklahoma, Colorado, and, of course, Nebraska. But the thing I'm looking forward to, and I think you are right now, is the start of the NFL season. Preseason has been fun. I think a lot of teams have surprised. Of course, the cuts were made earlier this week. Now we get into the real season. It's going to be exciting. A lot of teams want to make the Super Bowl in Pasadena this year. Let's look at one game to start with that I think is interesting, because Minnesota has got to be a surprise. Even though a lot of people say preseason doesn't mean much, they were 4-0. New coach Dennis Green doing a great job. They go to Green Bay, and they being Minnesota, a 3-point pick. How do you see this one?
Well, Bob, I was lucky enough to get on Minnesota at -2 here because the number was off, and it's moved to -3 at the current time. And I'll tell you something, the Minnesota Vikings will win the Central Division this year. They've always had plenty of talent. What their problems were was they had a lot of racial tension, and they had a general manager that did not want to negotiate fair contracts for the talented players on the team. Well, what did the Minnesota Vikings ownership do? They went out and hired Dennis Green, who, if you don't already know, is black, so that resolved a lot of the racial tension on the team. They fired the general manager and paid the regular players on the team higher salaries this year. You're going to see a very talented Minnesota Viking team play with some incentive, and I think they will win this game big. I think they're going to win the Central Division, and I really think, Bob, you might see Minnesota in the Super Bowl this year.
Well, I'll have to mark that one.
Yeah, I'm going with Minnesota minus the 3 for sure here.
You know, I was impressed watching Minnesota this preseason, and people say, don't put any credence on it. It is just a bunch of exhibition games. But when you have the season that they've had, and all of a sudden they don't allow a touchdown, they've got to go in with a lot of momentum.
Well, obviously, Dennis Green wanted to set some guidelines and some incentive for his team, give him a little confidence with these exhibition playoff games. But you're right. They may not count in the standings, but they do mean a lot. And I'll tell you right now, Minnesota has had some extreme talent over the years. They've had very poor coaching, very poor management, and the players were disgruntled all the time. You get rid of Herschel Walker, you put in a good coach there that they can relate to, you're going to see a real fine football team fielded in Minnesota this year.
And of course, Green Bay's got a brand new coach in there, so maybe it's a battle of two new coaches. One has a little bit more experienced team, and that, of course, as you say, is Minnesota.
Well, yes, Dennis Green is very lucky that he is the one that has the talent on his team. I look at this Green Bay team, and I don't see them getting 4 wins this year. Their defensive secondary is very weak. They are slow all the way around, and their offensive line cannot protect Majkowski. So Green Bay is just a bad team, and Minnesota's going to roll in the first game, Bob.
Okay, let's go to our final pro game with you, and that is the New York Jets, the surprising New York Jets. New quarterback, Brownie Nagel. They go down and take on the Atlanta Falcons in their brand new home. Atlanta is a 3-point pick, but you don't see it this way.
I don't see it this way. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the wrong team's favored in this matchup. How many times on this show in the past years have I told you if you can find some incentive in the NFL, you're halfway there in handicapping a winner? Well, the New York Jets have the incentive this year. Why? They've got 2 quarterbacks fighting for number 1. I watched Browning Nagel play the first 3 exhibition games of the year, played very well. What happened? Well, Kenny O'Brien come back the 4th game of the year, and I think Kenny O'Brien played better than I've ever seen him play in that 4th exhibition game of the year, Bob. I think this is going to be a lot of incentive for the Jets. I think in this particular matchup, Atlanta has got big problems in their defensive secondary. Because of the holdouts and because of the injuries, it's going to be very tough for them to even field a representative NFL secondary here. I think the Jets are going to blister them bad. I think the key here is we get 3 points. I can't imagine how Atlanta could be favored in this game with their secondary in the shape it's in. Last week against the Buffalo Bills, the Bills completed 24 out of 36 passes, no interceptions, and when Jim Kelly was in the first quarter, they ran up and down the field, scored 2 or 3 touchdowns, and put the game out of reach immediately. When they're playing for real this week, I see the Jets getting the job done in a big way at Atlanta.
So the Jets are going to ruin Jerry Glanville and Atlanta Falcons' brand new home.
Well, I think they are, and it's kind of sad for Jerry Glanville and his crew, but you cannot play with subpar players, and their injuries and their holdouts have decimated their secondary. They're going to be passed on and passed on big, and I think they'll lose big.
All right, Dennis, we will see you next week. And we'll see you in just a few seconds, because right after these messages, you're going to be on with the Professor, Gordon Jones. Stay with us, everyone.
Finally, football is here, and what better time to take advantage of the bad numbers on the board here in Las Vegas than early in the football season. My scouting reports have came in from all over the country, and I'm ready to start winning this weekend. You can be a winner too with my 3-team triple play parlay I'll release absolutely free just for calling my 800 number. 1-800-231-WINS. What have you got to lose? Even the call is free. 1-800-231-WINS.
Come on in, Dennis. It's time to talk about our new weekly consensus hotline.
That's right, Gordon. The 3 of us agree on the single strongest plays of the week for the NFL action.
For the college game we all love.
And the best over-under play of the week.
Get the 3 single strongest plays of the week, our consensus selections, by calling 1-900-420-0016, only $10 a call. That's the Football Forecast Weekly
Consensus Hotline.
Hi, I'm the Professor Gordon Jones, and I want to kick off this 1992 football season with an absolutely free play from the college ranks. I'm going to call it my Underdog Play of the Month, and it's based on some badly off lines. I think they've misevaluated some of the WAC teams, some of the not-so-famous Southwest teams, and we've got a matchup this week where I think the underdog won't only cover, could actually win the game straight out. So give me a call as the week goes on at 1-800-423-2350.
Hello, football fans. I'm Dave Hammer from Dave Hammer's Hotline in Las Vegas. I'm out on this strip each day of the week looking and searching for the information it takes to make me a winner by simply calling 900-454-6600. For only $20, I can make you a winner too. I'll give you my major play every day of the week. Call 900-454-6600. And remember, you can't get this information from anywhere else except Dave Hammer's Hotline.
Well, welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone. Joining me now is a gentleman we talked about at the top of the show. I think his record is well documented. In fact, last year he hit over 67% on a Pro Football Challenge. That was 20% higher than anyone else. If you remember back several years, he was with the Herald Examiner, where for 5 straight years he picked winners each week and had a winning percentage, and that is the Professor Gordon Jones. And Professor, great to have you with us this year.
And Bob, great to be back and kicking off this 1992 season in such good team company.
It should be a lot of fun, and Gordon will be here each week exclusively on Football Forecast Weekly. You won't catch him anywhere else. We're going to have his first pick in just a couple of minutes, but right now, let's head out and talk with Dave Hammer. He has his famous overs and unders.
Thanks again, Bob. There's 2 obvious mistakes in the totals this week. Very good ones. First of all, L.A. goes to the Broncos. The total here is 36.5. Play under. This is a very important game in the AFC West. If L.A. beats Denver in Denver, it's going to be a long season for Denver. Reeves will try to score early. Elway will try to throw a long pass. If they don't, it's going to be a long day for the defenses. They'll both be on the field all day. These 2 teams have poor preseason showings. They didn't show anything. They're not ready. It's not going to be an offensive match. It's a defensive match. Play under 36.5 on the Raiders-Broncos. Now the next big mistake. New Orleans goes to Philadelphia. This one also at 36.5. Now you tell me how any bookmaker in this town could make this line at 36.5. Are you kidding me? The number 1 and 2 NFL defenses? Come on, guys, give us a break. It should be about 22. It might even end up at 10. This one's going to be a battle of the field goal kickers. If either one misses a couple field goals, it could be 3-0. Jim Moore doesn't know how to win on the road. He'll play it close. He'll try to keep it close for a field goal for Morton Anderson. Philadelphia ain't going to take any chances with Randall Cunningham. They don't want to lose him for the rest of the season, certainly again this year. They're again on this one. Play the under, way under, 36.5. Now listen to the hammer on these 2, and back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And don't forget, each week right here on Football Forecast Weekly, Dave Hammer will give you his exclusive over and under selections. Last year, he had a phenomenal record, and I know 1992 is going to be even better. Let's get back now to Professor Gordon Jones, who's joining us now. Let's go to your first pick, Prof, and I know that you really like this matchup. It's an intersectional battle. It has the Big 8 against the Pac-10, Kansas coming over to play Oregon State, and Kansas is a 16-point favorite, but you don't see it that way.
I really don't, Bob. And of course, if you study the recent history of the Pac-10, which maybe comes out no worse than the second toughest conference in all of America against the Big 8, where after you get past maybe 2 or 3 teams, this is possibly a tie for the second weakest. Now, when you get that kind of a strong versus weak conference matchup, you get a built-in 2 or 3 points that I think the odds makers really don't appreciate. On top of that, Oregon State's at home, and here they are walking out on their home field, coming off a great finish last year, knocking over hated Oregon, my alma mater, but you've got to give them credit for that. And they're walking out on their home field a 16-point favorite against a weaker conference team. Now, over the years, what's happened? In the last 7, when they've walked out as the home dog, they've won 2/3 of those games. In September, how did they kick off? Well, nobody gives Oregon State respect. They're just the Beavers. They have won 16 and lost only 9 against the spread in September, while the other club, Kansas, is kind of a slow starter. So up and down the line, there are so many reasons to take this 16 points without even getting into the cliche, which is that it's more blessed to take early and to give late in the season.
Well, I tell you, when you match off all those numbers, it really looks like this should be a game that Oregon State, besides covering, might even have a chance at.
They actually might. You know, the simple power ratings would probably say, well, maybe Kansas is 6, 7, 8, 9 points stronger. You throw in those other factors, but does everybody realize that last year, though Kansas was a little bit of a winner against Patsy's, they were 16 points worse on the road than they were at home. And meantime, the Oregon State team cresting with a victory over an Oregon club that's probably stronger than this one.
Okay, Gordon, before we get into the next segment, you're going to have some more games. But right now, one of the things I think is really exceptional this year is all three of our Football Forecast Weekly stars are going to be having a consensus hotline. That is for a pro game, a college game, and also an over and under selection. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about it, our viewers?
Well, Bob, you know, the truth is we do disagree on some games, but not too often. We come up with an awful lot of games the same. But each week we're going to pick out the one professional game, the one college game, and also the one over-under contest that we not only agree with, but we agree with each other so strongly we make this our consensus pick, the games that we agree about the most.
And of course, you and Dennis and also Dave Hammer get together, and you really feel like this is a big one. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the selections and also how they can get that pick?
Well, it's easy for any football players to have a difference in football handicappers, but in this one, we just don't have any disagreements on a few games, and those will be the ones. Now, the number to call on this is 1-900-420, and that's an 0016 at the end. That's 1-900-420-0016. You get a professional game. You can also call for the college game, and then the over-under game on which we most agree.
Most agree, all right. We've got one more segment coming up with Professor Gordon Jones, and that is going to be the special one. That is our TV matchups. He's going to look at a college game, a pro game, and he's also going to give you some other information that you're going to want to have, especially if you're going to stay on that couch this week and watch a lot of football games, as most of us will. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back with more Football Forecast Weekly right after this.
Hi, I'm the Professor Gordon Jones, and I want to kick off this 1992 football season with an absolutely free play from the college ranks. I'm going to call it my Underdog Play of the Month, and it's based on some badly off lines. I think they've misevaluated some of the WAC teams, some of the not-so-famous Southwest teams, and we've got a matchup this week where I think the underdog won't only cover, could actually win the game straight out. So give me a call as the week goes on at 1-800-423-2350.
Hello, football fans. I'm Las Vegas handicapper Dennis Tobler. Each week for the past 5 years, you've seen me on Football Forecast Weekly, and I have hit an incredible 63% of my television selections during that time. You also know that I pound the strip each week for the information it takes to become a winner here in Las Vegas. This year, I have something special for all you viewers out there. I'm going to be releasing my private play selections each and every day of the week on my 900 private play line. That number is 1-900-903-0933, and for only $20 a call, you can call each and every day of the week and get new point spread selections direct from Las Vegas. My information is second to none. I've been beating the spread for 20 years here in Las Vegas, and you can see how. Just call 1-900-903-0933 and get on the winning bandwagon. Call now.
I'm Gordon Jones, and one of my favorite plays is what we call the late move. I'm here in Vegas checking the action up and down the Strip, and back in New York, my associate, Vinny Caselli, well, he's checking the late moves up and down the entire East Coast. Last year, he went 27-3 on his late moves, an incredible thing. We're putting our heads together this year and doing the same. You can get it, ask for Vinny, and call our 800 number. That's 1-800-423-2350.
Welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone. Now is one of the more popular segments that we have on our show. That's when we look at the TV games that you'll be able to see right after we analyze them. And Professor, let's go to the first one. It's a college matchup. Notre Dame at Northwestern. Notre Dame, a 36-point pick. How do you see this one?
Well, I guess that's a matchup. And, of course, nobody's sitting on the edge of the seat wondering who's going to win, but the 36 points a lot of people may think is a problem. I agree with Dennis. Early in the season, the quality teams do dominate. Notre Dame, 17 starters back. Northwestern, only 11. And Notre Dame may be a little weak on defense last year. Well, 10 of those guys are back, and they're buttress up and down the line. A 286-pound offensive line at Notre Dame. And by the way, the Irish are proud. They have started over the past 17 years, 7 years actually, very fast with a record of 14-8, and against the Big Ten, spread and all, they're 60%, and that's against the Big Ten, not a patsy like Northwestern.
Well, that's just one of many games in the colleges. I know you have others that are on your Professor's Straight A college picks. Tell us how they can get those.
Well, Bob, it's easy to get the straight A games early in the season because the line is so far off on some of the weaker teams in the Southwest and the WAC and these. And we're coming up with these straight A college games every single day if you give me a call at 1-900-884-0770.
Okay, let's go to our next television game. It's a pro game. It is the Cleveland Browns going to play Indianapolis. Cleveland, a 6-point road pick. How do you see this one?
Well, this time we've got a closer spread at 6 points, but I think Cleveland under Bill Belichick is just becoming such an efficient team, and Kozar, of course, such an efficient quarterback. It's hard to see them not really dominating this game. On the other hand, Indianapolis getting that good offensive coordinator from Buffalo, Ted Marchibroda, but Marchibroda used to the no-huddle offense and used to an awful lot more talent. There could be some long, long days early in the season at Indianapolis, especially since over the last 10 years, they barely won 40% against the spread early in September.
Once again, now people are going to want to get more of your NFL games. You have your Professor's Head of the Class NFL games. How can they get those?
Well, every single day we're going to take the best one, and early in the week we're going to jump in and take advantage of off lines. Late in the week there'll be late developments changing it. We'll have that coming up every single day at 1-900-773-0001.
All right, overs and under selections, big play. This week, let's look at a pro one, and that is the Los Angeles Rams at Buffalo. It's a 45-point spread. How do you see this?
Well, you know, do you think Chuck Knox wants to go back to Buffalo where he had some success, and of course Levy's had more and not look good? He's going to slow this game down. He's strengthened his defense. Meantime, I don't think Buffalo's quite the team they used to be. They're down after that Super Bowl. They're aging a little bit, and based on the preseason and a little tail off, I think that Chuck Knox will slow this game down enough that it'll go over, or rather under, those 45 points.
Professor, I know you feel strongly about that one, as you do lots of others that are on your Professor's NFL over and under game selections. Tell us how they can get those.
Well, you know, Bob, the unders had such a role last year with some of the changes, and I think this year we're going to see some of the same. But in general, week by week, we're going to stress the unders during the early part of the week because the way the line shifts. Get a lot of overs on the latter part of the week, and you can get that every single day as the lines change and as our under-overs focus in, and we'll get that at 1-900-976-9199 every day.
And I know you have one final line that is really interesting to me because that is the teasers line and also the parlays. Tell the people how they can get those.
Well, I like to sort of say this one, profs parlay. And you know, the thing of it is, if you're going to have losing selections, you don't want to be anywhere near parlays because they will double the rate at which you're losing. But if you're in on 55, 60% winning selections, as we expect to be, we certainly hope to top that, by parlaying, you will actually double your return on the 2, 3, and 4-game parlays. And we'll be parlaying every single day at 1-900, and that's 976-7117.
Well, Professor, we thank you very much for stopping by on the first show. We look forward to a full schedule of games and a big season from you this year on Football Forecast Weekly.
Well, the classroom took all semester, and so should a schedule on a football season.
All right. And we hope you enjoyed the very first show of Football Forecast Weekly for 1992. It is our 5th season. Make it your best season by joining us each week right here on Football Forecast Weekly. Goodbye, everyone.